Good morning, folks. Today is June 2nd of 2023, and this is Coffee with Community Services, Alta California Regional Center's weekly vendor meeting. My name is John Decker. I'm the Director of Community Services. I am going to introduce some of our community services staff and go into our agenda for today. I hope everyone's having a great Friday. First, to introduce some of our staff that I see on. From our Community Services Department, I see our HCBS specialist, Alicia, is on. Good morning, Alicia. And I see Beverly on this morning. Good morning, Beverly. And let's see, Odelia. Good morning, Odelia. And our deaf and hard of hearing specialist, Rima, is on this morning as well. And Shirley is here from Community Services. And let's see who else. We have Carly, our client employment specialist, and Gary from Community Services, and Christy as well. Good morning. And let's see, that's my first page of people. And on client services, I see we have Carol Wilhelm, client services managers on, and Cindy Lay as well. Let's see. I see Veronica from Woodland. Good morning, Veronica, too. Shirley is on. Shirley from Community Services. Good morning, Shirley, as well. And Heidi up in Grass Valley. Hope all is well up there. Client Services Manager that is on. Christina Lane from Residential. And good morning to you, too. Scott Bark, our QA Specialist, is on here. And Associate Client Services Director Tracy Brown is on this morning. Good morning, Tracy. And I see Adriana on. Good morning from our Community Services Department. My assistant Zach is on. Helen Neary, our Community Services Manager, is here. See a few service coordinators. So let's see. I see Jessica is on, and I see Ryan is on. Good morning, Ryan, one of our newer service coordinators. And let's see, Jolana's on. She attends here frequently as well. Keeps herself updated. All right, if you're from the Regional Center and you want to wave, now is a good time. All right, anyone I missed? Hope you're having a fantastic Friday. Let's see here. We are going to go into a few different things. I'm going to talk briefly about, from DDS's calendar, about employment electronic visit verification. I don't know what happened there. It has nothing to do with employment. Well, it kind of does. Electronic visit verification. I want to talk about the 3 upcoming sessions that DDS is going to have related to that. And I provide an update about the DSP Collaborative and some of those activities. We have a job fair coming up. Poor Carly, all she does is just plug job fairs, which I actually love that. I love that we're doing so many job fairs. We will also talk about the Micro Enterprise Fair, Carly, again, too. Go over some of those ACRC calendar events. I know Jen Bloom is traveling, but we do have the EI job fair that is going to be coming up as well. And I believe that it already hit our calendar, and so I'll be able to talk about that. And I think I have the flyer that Lynn Arner put out related to that as well. I know we don't have a ton of EI vendors that participate in these meetings, but I think it's good to know the activities that we're doing. And then I'm going to share a little bit about the housing update on some of the activities that we have going on as well, so folks are familiar, because we have some projects that are progressing, kind of coming to fruition too. And I will start by seeing if Rima can get us started off with a word of the week in the Deaf Culture 101. Do we have anything, Rima, to share this morning?
Hi, I don't really have anything to share this week. I was off on Monday, off yesterday, but
That is perfectly fine. We will
yeah,
come back.
I've been sorry, go ahead. I've been doing so let's go ahead and start for since there's a lot of graduations going on, let's do congratulations.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so like this.
Yep.
All right, real quickly, I always forget that I have to make sure I spotlight Rima, otherwise we end up watching these videos later on and I don't get to see Rima. So I want to make sure she is spotlighted, and we're talking congratulations. Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Rima. Okay, now I'm going to move on to my next agenda item here. All right. So I want to talk about, I almost said employment visit verification. I want to talk about the electronic visit verification. We talked about this a lot a year or so ago. And we really have not heard a ton of complaints from providers about challenges in being able to get themselves registered or onboarding with EVV, but the EVV like implementation timeframes are coming to an end here, and we need to have everyone doing it. And so I want to share that this month, the Department of Developmental Services, whoops, make sure I share the correct screen here. The Department of Developmental Services, if you go on the front page of their website, and again, this is dds.ca.gov, and they have a wealth of fantastic information right here on the website. And on the website, you can see links to the upcoming events, which is their calendar, and you can see the 3 upcoming electronic visit verification. So if you have some electronic visit verification questions, there has been so much technical assistance that they have put out related to this. So please take advantage of this. Please don't hesitate to reach out to your assigned community services specialist if you have questions related to it as well. I will see right now whether or not we have anyone that has any questions. Oh, it says I can't see your screen. Were you guys not able to see the screen when I shared my screen? That's not good.
I saw it, John.
Okay, good. All right, very good. So then the next thing I want to touch on is the DSP Collaborative, which we were freaking out a little bit this morning because the website wasn't working, but now it is. And so I'm going to share my screen real quickly. And I will tell you, I know I heavily promote the DSP Collaborative website, which, can I get a thumbs up? Are we seeing the DSP Collaborative website? All right, perfect. Thank you, Beverly. That was fast. Beverly wins for the fastest thumbs up on that one. I'm going to be looking at your little square when I ask the questions now. So leading with inclusion, working with purpose. This is the free job board that is opened up to a number of our service providers. We are continuing to do more marketing and outreach to promote the website. And again, we have really good participation right now. I mean, a lot of our service providers are on here, and we are looking at this as being a kind of a cornerstone of the future of this project, is having the website. And one thing I wanted to share about it specifically is that we are entering into a contract so that we can have the website remain cost-free for the service providers for the next 5 years. So that is our current budgeting that we're working on right now, is that through 2028, we have the ability to get into contract and cover the costs. And then at that point, we'll see where we're at 5 years from now as far as ongoing funding. And I will say there's certainly a number of other regional centers that are very interested in the fact that the regional center is supporting a job board for their service providers. There's a lot of activities that we've tried to do over the years to support the hiring, and this one, again, we think is very important. We've had our first job fair, was the one that we held in Sacramento. Again, very well attended. We had over 250 attendees that we estimated. Not everyone signed in. Good feedback from those that attended. We know that there's been some hires that have certainly come from people that attended that one. There is an upcoming additional job fair, which is on June 15th down in Lodi. And Carly, do you know if they are still registering people for that, or are they pretty full when it comes to that one?
To my knowledge, they are still registering. I have not heard otherwise.
So again, many of you are serving, both our area, Valley Mountain Regional Center's area. You would benefit from having, pulling staff possibly from that Lodi area. So just want to encourage everyone, take advantage of these opportunities for these types of job fairs that are going to be coming up. And let's see, anything about the Lodi job fair that we wanted to touch on, Carly? I don't think so, right?
I don't believe so. Like the one we held here, there will be at least one food truck. So that's a good draw. But yeah, if you serve that area, even Elk Grove, it's not a long drive from Elk Grove for the people, the population that would be attending the Lodi fair. I definitely encourage you to sign up.
We do have some new, the Lodi Job Fair is June 15th. And I am going to drop into the chat the link so that you can register on the flyer, because the flyer has a link to be able to register for it. So there you go. Are there any job fairs scheduled for Placer County? We don't have anything scheduled right now for Placer County at this time. We had there was a job fair that went on in Nevada County, certainly last month, and we had our service providers that were there, right, Heidi? We had, I think there was a number of service providers that were looking at hiring. I don't know exactly how successful they were in being able to pick up new candidates up in that area, but certainly Placer County might be able to draw, more, especially if we looked at, if we did it down in Auburn or something like that, it might be beneficial for, both areas. Carly, have we thought about or talked about that next step for a future job fair in that area?
I know, speaking with Lori with how successful this past one was, we are interested in having further job fairs. I think we were hoping to have one later this summer, definitely in those outlying areas, not in Sacramento, but we have not made further plans yet.
I mean, I think in the Auburn area, we could certainly support both our kind of Roseville area and maybe also, all the way up that corridor and certainly Grass Valley. And then, Sutter Yuba, right? Like Yuba City, Marysville area is another one that I think is a population area. And then Woodland too, right? We've got, a number of folks out there, for El Dorado County, being able to, all I hear about is the challenges related to getting, whether it's the transportation or the services initiated for the folks that are up there. And so I agree. I think it's a great idea that, that Lori wants to do these at a lot of different places. And, Carly and the folks from the HR departments at the regional centers and Gary was certainly involved with it as well. We were able to do it not super free, but relatively inexpensively as well, which allows us to stretch out and do more of these things in different areas. So yeah, definitely interested in that. And then being able to couple it with like doing it at like a one-stop job center or something, those are really great places. I don't know if there's I assume there's an employment one-stop in Auburn, but maybe we can look for some opportunities there. I think that would be a good one. Certainly a lot of voices in that community that would really appreciate more efforts from the regional center and looking at workforce issues in there. All right, so let's see. Micro Enterprise Fair. I'm gonna go switch over to our calendar for Alta's calendar real quick. And I see the chat too. We've got some chat topics I forgot to mention, but if you have chat topics, that you want to cover, please put it in the chat and we'll make sure that we touch on that as well. We're in a holding pattern on a lot of things right now, folks. We're waiting for the budget to kind of come out, and we have really good indications about what things are going to be in the budget and what aren't going to be in the budget. But as an indicator of what we can share and can't share right now, DDS had a rate questions meeting scheduled for June 15th, and it's now been pushed back to June 29th. And so I think even the department, when it talks about like next step for rate study implementation, everyone is kind of looking at what ends up finally making it into the budget. We know, at least for the ILS rate fix, that we have kind of a parallel path that is going on. You have the language that has already been put, and we've already seen it from the state, but then we also have the bill that is kind of going on, to my understanding, concurrently until it becomes at least finalized, so that we ensure that we've got a path to fix the ILS rates. Does anyone have anything different than that? That's my understanding of that process, is that the ILS rate bill is still going to stay in place until it's verified that it makes it into the budget. But outside of that, there's not a ton that we really want to report on, I think, until we get more solid information in the next couple weeks. So then let me jump over real quickly, as I was starting to talk about our calendar, and I'm going to share my screen again. All right, and can I get a thumbs up if we are seeing Alta's website? Yes? All right. For a second there, I thought Carol was giving me a thumbs up, our interpreter, and then I realized that she was probably signing thumbs up and not, yes. Carol Wilhelm's laughing at me because she signs and recognizes that I am really a novice at this and I want to get better. But I'm getting used to ensuring that we are communicating to all of our community. And I appreciate that this is a great opportunity for folks that sign to be able to participate in a meeting like this because there's not anything else like it. All right, so I'm going to go to our calendar. Sorry, go to menu here and news and events. You can go to events and calendar. And oh, we've got a few things on here. We got a new event that's on here too. Does anyone from the group that is doing the organizing for the Sacramento Pride want to be or able to share what's going on for that event before I call on you?
I can, John. So
Thank you,
I
Gary.
know I know the diversity outreach work group here at Alta is going to be participating in the march. We will not be vendors this year. We're looking at potentially being a vendor next year, but we will be participating in the march. We'll have a banner and we'll be easily identified with our shirts. And that's what I have so far.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I know a number of staff have volunteered to be part of that. I will certainly be out there with our staff as well and really looking forward to it. So that'll be June 11th at 11 a.m. All right. And going back to events and calendars, just because that was the first one that popped up, we have the Micro Enterprise Fair that's coming up. And that one is in August, right?
June 22nd.
Whoop. That is not August. That is like 3 weeks from now. Ooh, but do we not have it on here?
It doesn't look like it made it on there.
Uh-oh. We got to make sure that that one gets on there. So what is the Micro Enterprise Fair for those that are going to go log into this at some point soon and see that we've updated it?
So the Micro Enterprise Fair is an opportunity for us to, and actually, if I can share the.
Oh, perfect.
For us to promote our clients who own their own businesses. So currently we have 15 clients signed up to attend, but we still have room for any others who would like to join us. It's an opportunity for them to showcase their businesses. It is completely free for them to book a table. It should be a very fun event. We hosted one last November and we had a great turnout. Everyone enjoyed it. We'll have music at this event. We actually have a client who has his own DJ business who will be attending and DJing for us. It will be at the Sacramento ACRC office in the Brenda Smith conference room. I also have the Redwood conference room booked too for any overflow. So if please share this with the clients you support. If anyone is interested in booking a table, as I said, we still have some space available.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you very much, Carly, for sharing that. Let's see here. We have, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen again because we have a bunch of new stuff that has made it onto our website. And so let me go back to sharing and our calendar and share. So again, part of, our outreach activities to our community is being, very transparent about what we have coming up. And so our events calendar is very robust at the regional center. Again, not all of these activities are things that are put on by the regional center, but we also want to make sure that we are promoting a lot of community events as well on our website. And so you can see this information on here too. We know we have the Summer Institute on Developmental Disabilities. The Mind Institute is that one coming up. We do have the job fair I had mentioned earlier, which is a Alta sponsored event. And so this is going to be held on August 9th from 10 a.m. to 2 o'clock. And we will start doing more kind of heavy promotion of this, especially we'll be promoting it on our DSP Collaborative website as well, because it is just for our service providers. Again, that's, our goal is to provide or host these opportunities for you as service providers. So again, we don't have a ton of early start providers that participate on Coffee with Community Services, but these are some activities that we're doing for them as well, including hosting this job fair on August 9th. All right. I wanted to share real quickly about some activities that are going on as it relates to housing at the regional center. People are always interested in all of our housing stuff. And so we did have the grand opening of the Mirasol Village housing development. And I know we've showed pictures in Coffee with Community Services, and we've got them on our newsletter of us out doing tours, but they had the actual grand opening, ceremony. So figure I'll share my screen real quickly and share some pictures. Unfortunately, the Congresswoman Matsui was actually back in Washington voting on the debt limit increase, and so she was not able to attend. She's been a huge proponent of this project that we are doing, and really, whenever you have HUD funds, federal dollars, having, the Congress people being involved is very important. And so had a proclamation that was written by there. We did at Alta get the front reserve seats that went to the dignitaries that were there, unfortunately, but I'll share a little bit. This is the director of Sacramento Housing Redevelopment Agency talking about the project. This is one of the former residents of the old Twin Rivers housing project. If you guys remember what those housing projects looked like on Richards Boulevard, if you're from Sacramento, there was single story kind of duplex buildings that were there since the 60s, and those have all been torn down and put into modern housing. And this was one of the residents, and she talked about her experiences living in the housing, and then how her life has changed because of all the supports that she has received and all of the job training that she's gotten by living in the affordable housing complex. So it's very neat. There's lots of social services that they have built into this project. And this is a huge, huge project. This is the guy that is the executive director of the McCormick Barron and Salazar, which is our developer. This is Daryl, who was a big supporter of the regional center, certainly mayor of Sacramento, and was kind of one of the first speakers because he not only did a lot, with our California legislature as it relates to getting affordable housing done, but then Sacramento is also got a housing first designation as well. And I think Sacramento County did too. And he certainly plays a big part of that. And I had an opportunity to connect with him a little bit, and we talked about this project, and he's also been involved with a number of our other activities, certainly been involved with the Mine Institute. He's been involved with Mirastem as well. And so he was very pleased to hear about, the regional center clients that are there. And then we also had Fiona Ma was there. You can see her kind of up there as Daryl's leaving, but she's the treasurer for the state of California. And so she was there at the development as well. So again, we're very pleased to have our clients be able to move into these units. And what this means when we do projects like this is that, our clients get to move into these housing units, and they get to have their rents set at 1/3 of their income. And that covers their rent and their utilities to live in these units. So far, we've had 4 clients that have moved in. We've had a lot of delays, bless you, ILS agencies and SLS agencies and the Housing Access Services folks that have been working with our clients, because building a new construction like this and having to deal with construction delays has been a real challenge. And Dan Kilmer, one of our community services specialists, has been working really hard to get all of those clients in there. And so we're working on some photo releases, but I have seen the photos of our clients that have moved in, and very excited to be able to share some of that information with you all too in the near future once we get all of the appropriate photo releases. We have done some updates to our website, and I want to just touch on it again because it's kind of a work in progress and always open to more feedback about it as well. So we've included some housing information. And are we seeing Alta's website again? My shared screen? All right. Carol Wilhelm is the fastest to respond that time, folks. I just want to share. So housing and living options is on our website. And I believe last week I had mentioned about the fact that I had done a training with, not a training, excuse me. I participated in a housing forum that was put on by the State Council on Developmental Disabilities. And Ann and Peter are very great partners and housing advocates over at the State Council. And I had an opportunity to talk with them and also review the data from the housing survey that they put out to about 75 clients. And I shared these materials, and they've now been updated onto our website too. And I just wanted to briefly go over them real quickly, and we don't have to get into a lot of it, but just explaining our efforts at Alta as of kind of June 2nd of 2023. You know, we are focusing on housing. It's a huge issue for us. I say it in meetings all the time. Previously, the regional center system, about 80% of the people lived in congregate settings. Many of those were large congregate settings. Nowadays, our congregate settings are care homes. A lot of those are 4-bed, 6-bed care homes, some of the older ones. The older congregate settings were much larger ICF facilities, also much larger developmental centers. We had a lot of clients that resided in those types of settings. And now the population has kind of shifted. It used to be about 80% of people lived in those settings. And now about 80% of Alta clients reside with their family members. And the numbers of regional center clients have just dramatically increased, as has the life expectancy of people with developmental disabilities and their caregivers as well. And so all of this impacts housing issues that cross like a lot of different sectors. It crosses the aging sector, it crosses healthcare, it crosses developmental disability services. And so this is, and you'll see this big graphic here about serving adults with developmental disabilities and having older individuals with developmental disabilities is one of the key reasons why we have focused so much on housing, and then also our coordinated future planning initiative. And so I went over a little overview. I talked about our coordinated future planning initiative, which should not be a surprise to any regional center staff and probably our service providers for the amount of time that we talk about it. Some of the things from the coordinated future planning initiative that we've been talking about for the last 3 years now or so are starting to show up in the things like the California budget. We're starting to see, for example, we saw coordinated family supports, and one of the coordinated family supports was to provide assistance with people in looking at future planning needs for older adults that are residing with aged caregivers. That's one of the stated reasons behind it. And so our regional center, Phil Bonet was a big proponent of it. Lori was when she was our only director of client services at that time. And that really was what got started with it. We've been able to do our initial trainings with our service coordinators. It was great. We did a Zoom training. We had clients involved. We had client family members that were involved in the trainings, and really working with our service coordinators to take a look at, for those individuals that are residing with aging caregivers, is there a plan in place for those folks? And then is there an interest in a different type of living option and a description of what those living options are? So part of the trainings that we did was increasing the competency of service coordinators about the different types of living options. And we will be looking forward to talking more about that when we do our upcoming in-person trainings that we're going to be doing for service coordinators as well. But what we recognize is that unless you've done like an appropriate assessment, like talking about housing is great, but you need to have a planning team discussion and really plan for it, because housing doesn't happen right away. What we know about housing is that it takes a long time and then it happens really fast. Any of you that run SLS agencies, ILS agencies, or work with clients know what we're talking about. You will wait forever, and then you better get that application in the next hour, or else you're going to lose your opportunity. And that is the struggles that so many of our service providers run into. So talking again about the activities of the regional center, some of the things that we do is we work with our local municipalities on their housing elements. We will do interviews at the regional center, and we work to develop relationships. And when we have relationships with our political entities that are nearby, then that helps us get things approved. Like, for example, getting letters of support from Board of Supervisors or from the planning departments, for example, or to the planning departments. So I mentioned earlier, we did the grand opening of the Mirasol Village project. Most of our clients reside right in this building, which is the elevator building that is taking quite some time to get the elevators worked out and fixed. And then these buildings as well. Regional center clients all have either first floor apartments, or they have apartments that have an elevator in them. The first floor of this building, where a number of our clients are going to be living, is kind of community open spaces, shared spaces. It's not housing. some of these other ones, these buildings have housing on the first floor. So the clients that have moved in so far are ones that have the first floor units. So how this works out, we spend our money, about $100,000 per unit, I mentioned, and that gets us a restrictive covenant. The restrictive covenant means that regional center clients are the ones that are going into those units, and that's what they can be used for. So then for the next 55 years, we get a very low cost place for our clients to live. And our goal right now is to build up the number of these that we have available. We are getting inundated with requests for people to open up new care homes. And it's awesome. And we want to open up a ton of new care homes. But not everyone wants to live in a care home. And the department has given us the ability to access their funding to be able to provide other opportunities for our clients. This was the grand opening that we did. This is one of those first floor units that we talked about where we were able to do a tour. And this is the Michelle's. And I think I've showed this picture before, but from our board tour that we did as well. And again, our clients have already began moving in. Additionally, just on the housing realm of things, Alta is looking at bringing on a housing specialist, and that housing specialist hopefully will start in the month of June, maybe in the month of July. The reason why we're bringing on a housing specialist is for a couple of different reasons. One is we have multiple multifamily housing projects going on. And also for the Mirasol Village project, we started doing assistive technology for a demonstration unit. And I think this might actually be the unit that it gets installed in, the assistive technology. But we also, Alta is the regional center that is going to be responsible for the DDS Assistive Technology Pilot Program that is going on from 2023 to 2025. And so the housing specialist is going to help us in the development of that project, and then also in some of the lease-up activities for our other housing developments. I don't think we're going to end up having to change the name of this one, but this next project, which we've already changed the name of 3 times, I believe, is the Cornerstone Village project. This is located on Bruceville and Laguna in Elk Grove. This is across from Harriet Eddy Middle School. You might recognize this big tower that's right there currently, but right now it's all open because it's a big church space. There's a Lutheran church right there. So for this project, we actually have 21 different set-asides. The units for the Mirasol Village project, there's 15 of them. And we also have worked really closely with the city of Elk Grove to get approval for some of their financing loans, and then worked very closely with both State Council on Developmental Disabilities and CCLN, California Community Living Network. They both did letters of support for this project as well. This project is running into some challenges related to getting the financing kind of in order, but it's still very much on track. And as we get closer to when the final dates for lease-up activities are going to begin, we will be sharing that widely, obviously first with our service coordinators, so that they know that there's going to be an opportunity for their clients, and that and what the new process will be for the lease-up activities. Last time we did a lottery for it. I think we've learned some things from the first one that we did. We might modify it a little bit the second time around. This is what I was mentioning earlier about the project down in Elk Grove to help you visualize it. So this is Bruceville Road. This is where the existing church is. And then we're going to be building the housing development kind of around the church. We are also working on a number of different projects. So one thing to remember is that, like, in order to get one of these projects through, you have to be involved with, I would say, I mean, I'm probably doing like 15 different applications to get like 2 or 3 things through. So there's a lot that you have to do. There's a lot of meetings you have to have, and there's a lot of different developers in order to get one of these projects that's actually going to end up coming to fruition. This year, we requested 2 additional projects. We had requested the project in Woodland, and we requested the project in Lake of the Pines. The Woodland project, we got 18 units approved. We are still pending approval on Lake of the Pines. Lake of the Pines is a little bit of a challenge because of the fire insurance that is required to do development in that area. I think I've mentioned it to people before, but that Higgins corner where the stores are, right, like we're on the intersection right there where 49 is, and right where that fire station is right where the development is located. The development shares a property line with that fire station that's right on that corner, which for us is very nice because it allows us to know that we will have some emergency medical opportunities, you know, literally sharing a property line with our clients. And so that project, if we get the final budget approval for the reallocation of the CPP funds from fiscal year 2020, when a lot of things didn't come to fruition in the state of California because of COVID, then we should be able to get an approval letter from the Department of Developmental Services this summer for this project. And so that will be awesome. I will say, and I think I mentioned it in this meeting as well, that if you listen to the testimony given by the Director of the Department of Developmental Services to the Senate budget hearing, she specifically described the projects that she wanted to fund this year but was unable to, and talked about the number of projects, and this was one of those projects that she had already discussed with our regional centers. So again, we appreciate the director of DDS like really trying to make housing important. There's only $21 million to split amongst 21 regional centers, and as you could tell, my projects cost a lot more than that here in Sacramento, and like we're not the most costly, right? Like we've got you know $100,000 a unit, but you can go to some other places and it's a lot more expensive than that to acquire the homes. So really like these projects that we're doing. It's really going to increase opportunities for our clients. Now this is the one that we were talking about here in Woodland. This is 18 units that are going to be set aside, and I've said it previously, but this is our Woodland office. This is the parking lot right there, and this is where the development is. So it is right across from where our office is, which I think is going to be really awesome for our clients and our staff to be able to have all those set aside units just so close to where we are at and be able to witness the final ends of the construction. That construction, if you're from Woodland, has been going on for quite some time. It's not the first phase of it. I also shared that there's a lot of community activities that are going on and getting political support. With this in Yolo County, at least, we do have a Commission on Aging and Adult Services task force that has been put together by Supervisor Provenza, and Supervisor Provenza did also do a letter of support for our project to the Director of Developmental Services, and certainly wants to be more of an advocate. And he also really wanted to host a town hall meeting. And I don't know if I've shared these pictures yet, but Michelle Johnson and myself had an opportunity with Supervisor Jim Provenza to be able to meet both with folks in person in Davis and then also online that we're able to log in as well. And we're also looking at doing a follow-up in, we have not nailed down the date quite yet. We're going to do a follow-up meeting in the city of Woodland as well for parents too. And again, this is, not an Alta meeting. These meetings are being put on by the Board of Supervisors under their auspices, but we definitely are very open to participating in all of those conversations and communication. Before I jump away from Yolo County, I do want to say that we also have another project that we are looking at supporting in Yolo County in the city of Davis. There's a city council meeting actually on Tuesday night, and I'm getting ready to work on my public testimony and my letter of support for the zoning. But if anyone's from the Davis area, Alta is looking at supporting the development of the Shriners property. The Shriners property is located in the northeast corner of Davis, kind of think of behind the Target that they built not too long ago, I guess, or maybe that was a long time ago. It was like probably 10, 15 years ago. And that area right there, across from Mace Ranch in Davis. So always looking at new projects. I will just tell you right now, we're also working on projects in Rockland. Also, we have some developers that are talking about additional things in Sacramento County. The thing to remember too is that these projects could take, from the initial discussion, 6-7 years to get going. So it's not the fastest thing in the whole wide world to get those services started. We have the housing access services. We already know that they're serving over 100 individuals. We've heard great feedback about their ability to support our clients being able to stay in their housing. They've also helped their first clients get into their own affordable housing. They are really building up their competencies to support clients. And so that's a big aspect for us. And then the Disability Housing Alliance, which I know I've talked about previously here as well, which is a group of clients and family members, advocates that are interested in housing advocacy within our 10 county catchment area. And so I meet with these individuals once a month. We had the meeting yesterday. They reported in on different activities that are going on in their different counties. Some of them are trying to connect with their local elected officials. Many of them are parents that are concerned about where their loved one is going to live after they are gone, and they don't want to wait until they're, older to have these discussions, and really want to have some concrete actions being put in place. And so we've had some great meetings. They've developed some great contacts, and we're looking forward to, again, many hands making light work. They were the ones that let me know about the Rockland project that might be a possibility for our regional center, which we hadn't heard about yet. And so with that being said, I know people have asked me, John, do you want to know about every affordable housing development that is going to be developed in my county? I don't really have the bandwidth to read, because there's so many affordable housing projects going into all the counties right now. But this group really helps out supporting the regional center in how we're kind of directing some of our activities. And then I always talk about, there's opportunities for regional center clients and families to do things like provide public testimony. And that's one of the things that Disability Housing Alliance is working on, is kind of helping to train the parents, train the advocates. Peter Mendoza from State Council, he already has a master's degree in this, I'm sure, because he's so good in the public meetings that we do in providing the testimony for support of these projects. And so he is part of those discussions as well. So I wanted to give that's a quick kind of 15 minute overview of all the kind of housing stuff as of right now at our regional center for multifamily housing development. Again, we've got staff like Isabella and Odelia on here that have been around our community services department for quite some time. Michelle is learning it and seeing that we have, just as I said, a flood of applications that are coming in for people that are wanting to do new residential vendorizations, to the point where we are bringing on a new residential community services specialist to help process the amount that's coming in. But that, again, can't be our only efforts as it relates to developing housing. We have to provide, other types of models and choices for clients as well. So whether that's, looking at further expansion of the FHA model, if we have a FHA rate fix that we are allegedly possibly going to see, then that might mean that we can finally do something to expand FHAs locally in our area as well, because we can get everyone on level playing ground as it relates to the rates. So any other housing questions? I will say we are also working, is ACRC working with Paratransit Inc. on the housing project that they announced on their adjacent property? We are not working with Paratransit Inc. on that project currently. Certainly interested in having a discussion with them about it for Paratransit. Any other questions about, I'm just going to put a little note down about that one. Any other questions about housing stuff? All right, so we will continue to share updates on information related to that for folks in the chat. I had a question. Let's see. John, are you going to be going over the rollout of the training and language stipends from DDS? Do we have that formalized yet? I don't know. Is it all formalized? Michelle? I'll let you weigh in, Michelle Ramirez from On My Own, that put that into my chat. I don't know if Michelle.
I never know. Yeah, I never know which Michelle yet.
All the Michelles that are here right now.
That was coming out in March, and then they mentioned it a couple times, and I haven't seen any guidance. I just got on the DDS website today, and I don't see any guidance on this. So I was just curious if you had any inside information on when they would be sending out some correspondence on that.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that my inside information was something that hadn't been shared anywhere else.
No.
All right. So, Michelle Duchesne, do you have any update on that at all? I will just say that I think we've been sent some stuff to take a look at to see whether or not it is feasible to do with vendors. I think there's some feedback that has already been provided by some vendor groups to DDS, but I don't believe that we have anything solid that is the implementation and rollout plan. And so, Michelle or Jordan or Helen, have I told you anything differently about that?
No, that's the last that I heard, John.
Okay. So absolutely, Michelle Ramirez from On My Own, because I can't confuse you with the other Michelle Ramirez. So I think that is something that we absolutely will report back to folks, and we'll look forward to doing that. But we don't have anything final right now. Again, I think right now, like, it might be a little sparse from the department on things for the next few weeks until the budget kind of takes picture a little bit more. And then it'll be boom, all kinds of stuff going on beginning of the month and beginning of next month. From accounting with Robin, we are looking at the rate study implementation. And Michelle or Jordan or Helen, did we get a response back from Robin at all this morning yet about our question for the that hold harmless / rate standardization question?
I did not see one come in yet.
All right, so I want to share what I think I've already talked about in this group and make sure that we're kind of on the same page about things, which is that, the rate study implementation we are looking at the, July 1 of 2024. And with that, there are things like we've discussed, well, we haven't really discussed it in depth, but things like the 90-10 issue and determining whether or not, people are going to be able to get the full amount of the, full rate study calculations that have been approved by DDS. My understanding of things is that the rates need to be standardized before then. That by July 1 of 2024, there needs to be a standardization of rates. Whether those are rates that we have, there's a presentation at the next PAC meeting on the 90-10 issue. Awesome. We're going to jump onto, let's talk about that in just a second. And so our understanding, and at least my understanding, and we'll certainly try to get clarification, is that they really do need to make sure that you are all under one type of billing methodology when they go to implementing things like that 90-10 issue at the end of the rate study implementation. Now, that doesn't change the fact that there is a hold harmless in place as well. So the way I am reviewing this right now is that we are going to be looking to get all the vendors into a standardized billing methodology by the full implementation of the rate study, which is July 1 of 2024. However, when that happens, many providers might see a rate reduction. Some are already aware that the rates that are outlined, or if you are getting a monthly rate and you're going to be moving to a daily rate or to an hourly rate, or most of the rates are hourly based off of what the rate study is recommending, there are service providers that are concerned about that as well. So my reading of it is that those activities need to occur this next fiscal year in order for us to fully implement the rate studies. So, but there is still that hold harmless in place through 2026 for service providers if your rate would have been reduced because of the full implementation of the rate study. Anyone from anywhere, whether you're a regional center staff or you're or a vendor that might have any different opinion about that or think that we might be looking at it differently? No? I think the big question mark is the standardization of rates and the extent to which the department is going to utilize feedback from service providers over this next year, because we were told early on that there was going to be a process with service providers, and we talked with, for example, the SLS providers about this 8 months ago, because people were freaking out that January 1 of 2023, Carol was going to make sure that all the rates looked one way and one way only for the SLS, and that was not what occurred as of January 1, because we all said we were going to be following the department's lead, and we felt like there was going to be some opportunities for service providers to provide feedback and weigh in on that. So anyways, with that being said, we're going to get some confirmation from DDS. Hopefully this next rate questions office hours that they're doing at the end of the month. But if there's further questions that you guys have about that, again, it should not really impact things significantly until next fiscal year. But there is a lot of changes that we are going to have to be implementing in order to get to that point. And part of that is also looking at some of those service codes, the miscellaneous service codes, like service code 055, where we have a number of our day programs, or service code 063 that are not included in the rate study. And so we are going to have to look at those vendors moving over to a rate study classification, or they are not going to be able to receive rate study rate increases. And so again, we are monitoring what the department puts out as far as guidance as it relates to that. And we just know that there's going to be a lot of activities. They have given us kind of a draft of the breakdown of where things should kind of go. And folks should be familiar with that because you guys have already seen the rate study and you've already seen how they've come up with things like, what the one-to-one rates for community-based day programming are, for example, and things like that. So it's really just looking at how we're going to categorize it. But there are some services and vendors where we're really going to have to work closely with you to work on the categorization of things to make sure that it makes the most sense for you and that you're fully informed of it, because there is going to be a choice, it looks like, that vendors will have when it comes to the some of the recategorization of the rates. So we will provide more information about that as it kind of comes into picture. Let's see. All right. Any other questions about rate study type of things? Rollovers coming up soon. Again, we can provide an update right at the end of the month as far as how rollover is going on. Usually that first week of July can be a little bit rough. One thing, just for those of you that are in contract with the regional center, we're kind of looking at right now is contract extensions and extending contracts past when we know your rates are going to change one way or the other. Or you're going to have an opportunity for your rates to change. And so that's one thing that we're looking at now is extending contracts beyond July of 2024, or having contracts just all have to renew at that point. I think that's going to be kind of a nightmare for us if we end up having to try to update all the contracts at once. So still working on that for those of you that have contracts, transportation companies, SLS vendors, etc. We do have a transportation vendor forum that is coming up, Helen, very shortly, right? Oh, Helen, I
John,
think you might be muted.
so we have the EI vendor forum on June 13th, and then we have the transportation vendor forum on June 22nd.
All right, I'm going to encourage, oh, there we go. And I will show you that there is, share my screen real quick, and it's on our events calendar right there. And you can see where you can add the information in for any agenda items. We are going to be talking about the regional center engaging with a broker in order to provide transportation broker services to Alta California Regional Center. We have been struggling as a regional center to keep up with the transportation needs of our ever-growing population. I was sharing with staff earlier that back in 2015, we spent year-to-date $13 million on transportation, and this year-to-date, we've already spent $33 million on transportation, and that's just in 7 years. And we have not gotten back to where we were as far as the number of days and trips and routes, and not even close, right, as far as rebuilding things. So and what that just means, though, is that we just have more and more demand that is being built up. And so we're going to do this in a couple different ways. We're going to have a transportation vendor forum and have a discussion with the transportation providers about this. We're going to have a meeting with the broker that we are looking at working with, which is R&D Transportation. R&D Transportation currently provides transportation broker services to 6 other regional centers in the state of California, including Valley Mountain Regional Center. And let's see, they've got a number right around Alta's area too. So they are going to be locating into our area. In essence, what we would be talking about is, again, the routing and the setting up of the authorizations being handled by a broker instead of an internal transportation coordinator at the regional center. So we've begun talking about this. We been engaging with this broker. This is included in the rate study, is the new rates for brokers to be able to provide this service. And I will get into way more detail over the next 2 months about what this is going to look like, because we are going to be looking for a rollout early next fiscal year. Again, this is going to require some changes at our regional center, but hopefully this is going to this is going to lead to better responsiveness by the regional center staff when it comes to questions from transportation providers, from day program providers. So we're going to have an opportunity, because this is impactful across the 875 vendorizations, which is the vendorizations for closed transportation, but also the 880 transportations. And we have examples of how they do their route planning. I think I got sent one from someone from that Jordan's unit was working on, I think last week, from them for an out of area one from Golden Gate Regional Center, because Golden Gate Regional Center uses the broker services, and so they sent it over to us. So again, it's keeping up with the demand of an ever-growing regional center. 1,200 new clients annually net that we are adding, and we need to be able to make sure that we do not cause our own internal delays when it comes to things like scheduling transportation, because we don't have the ability to keep up, with that demand. So a lot more about that. Going to encourage our transportation providers to make sure that they please come to our upcoming transportation vendor forum. We're going to provide a follow-up meeting in the month of July with the vendor themselves, so people can ask questions about it. We'll ask questions and again talk more about it then. So with that, Michelle Duchesne and Helen and also Jordan, that was our short agenda for today. 11:59 p.m. Perfect, or a.m. Almost p.m. feels like it. Everyone have a great rest of their day, a great weekend. It is beautiful. We're gonna have warm weather actually for a little bit, and then it's gonna get cold again a little bit, or not cold, whatever. 80s in Sacramento for June is cold. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. Enjoy time with family. It's happy graduation. Congratulations to our graduates, right? All right. Very good. Thank you very much, folks. Have a good one.
Thanks.